Clear. He's got ideas. Those ideas are destinations. Reportedly, Deshaun would approve trades to the Jets in New York, the Dolphins, little Miami. And he's got Carolina on the mind with the Panthers. So, Brandon, where would Deshaun be best set up for success next season? Jets, Dolphins, or Panthers?
Yeah, wow. Okay, so look, let's start with the Miami Dolphins. Obviously it's clear. You guys know that I love the Jets, and that's where I want them to go. And I'm happy to hear that we're back in it. But let's break down all three teams. Number one, the Dolphins. So the Dolphins, this could be a win-now situation. So if Deshaun goes there, if he wants to win right now, this team is probably built where he can go in and potentially have a nice run. Why? Because you have a phenomenal coach. You have a top 5 defense, and they pretty much was number 1 all year up until like the season finale where the Buffalo Bills just ran right through them. And then offensively, you have a young offensive line that is good, that can be better, that can be better. They'll grow, obviously. And then all you need is another wide receiver. So Deshaun Watson can go in there right now, and it could be a good situation. The Jets, right? Like, why is this attractive? Because this will be legendary. Like, this is where you can leave your mark. We haven't been back to the Super Bowl since Super Bowl III. We haven't had a quarterback since the 60s and the 70s and Joe Namath. So this is a prime situation for you to say, you know what? I am an icon. I am elite. I am one of the best that have ever done it. So it's an attractive situation because of that. You got the number 2 pick in the draft, which they probably have to give it up to get you, and then some more. You got the second most cap space in the league. So you have what you need there, and they're going to give you a seat at the table. Sorry, Texans, but we will do that. And the last team is the Panthers. Like, the only thing I got to say on the Panthers, Nick, is this. The Panthers, it's a dude that have a girl already and flirting with another girl, and then they end up with none. You got Teddy Bridgewater. Now Teddy Bridgewater unfollows you. He doesn't want to date you. He doesn't want to deal with you anymore. He's probably going to end up back in New Orleans. Sean Payton going to figure out a way to get him there. So you're flirting with a guy that pretty much, it's probably not going to come to you, and you're going to end up with no quarterback. You just messed it all up.
Yep. That's, many a prom story has ended that way. You had a date, you thought you could improve, you end up with no date whatsoever. I know what you're talking about. So listen, there are a number of things here that I find interesting. One is, we've got to be careful when discussing what a team would look like with Deshaun to remember the team is going to look very different because of what they have to give up for Deshaun. So don't tweet me, how great would Deshaun be with Christian McCaffrey? Because he wouldn't be with Christian McCaffrey, because McCaffrey would be going to the Texans. So, like, it would be Deshaun and Matt Rule, the coach, and whatever they build in Carolina. The reason I think the answer to this question is the Dolphins is because the Dolphins have enough surplus draft assets, courtesy of the Texans, and a young quarterback in Tua, that we do know mostly what the team would look like. They would be short a few draft picks, they wouldn't have Tua, and then they would have Deshaun along with that defense and the cap space they have to go get a receiver. But what I find more interesting is this, and I'm not doing this as a shot at your beloved Jets, Brandon, but if he would accept a trade to the Jets, where the hell would he say no to? Like, what are the list of teams that Deshaun is like, nope, won't go there? Because right now, it's so bad with the Texans. I think he's going to say yes to, I know he has a no trade, but I feel like he's going to say yes to any team. You might say, oh, he doesn't want to go to Detroit. Well, Detroit's not in the business for it. Detroit just traded for Goff. Like, he doesn't want to go. Does he not want to go to Jacksonville? I don't know, and I guess maybe Jacksonville is a team that could be in it if they wanted to trade Trevor Lawrence, the #1 pick. But I just feel like the list of teams he would accept a trade to, if the Jets are on it, has to be massive. And the list of teams he wouldn't accept a trade to has to be like 1 or 2 teams. Or am I missing something here?
Well, first off, you're extremely disrespectful. So you're talking about, well, I'm not really trying to take a shot at your beloved Jets, and you take a massive shot. No, I'll repeat exactly what I said, Nick. Deshaun, you think about Deshaun Watson. Let's talk about. Let's put him in the NBA. He's Dame Lillard. That's who he is. This is a guy to say, you know what? I'm not going to be the guy that leave my situation, join a super team to go chase a ring. Like, I'm going to get it done right here. We're going to build this thing this way. So I use that as an example because, if Deshaun chooses the Jets, all right, and this happens, that's his mentality. I'm in the biggest media market in the world. We haven't been to the Super Bowl since Super Bowl III. And we haven't had a quarterback since the 60s and 70s. I just said that. So I think that's a big thing. There's some guys that have that little thing in their head that thought of, man, I can be the person that turned this thing around. And I truly believe Deshaun Watson is one of those guys. And that's why you're seeing the Jets on this list as a potential landing spot for him.
Well, 2 points. One is to continue the analogy. If Deshaun Watson is Damian Lillard, the Jets are the Sacramento Kings. It's like if you'll accept a trade there, you'll accept a trade anywhere. Then there's no team you're going to say no to. That's first of all. Second of all, the one thing for the Panthers that I will say is this. Unlike the Panthers are in this unique position, and this isn't me taking a shot at Brady, I promise. Because of their division, if he were to go there, he's the only established quarterback under the age of 35 in that division. So Matt Ryan's there, obviously, but he is on the wrong side of his career. Drew Brees is not long for New Orleans, might retire this offseason, certainly with the following offseason, and Brady's going to be 44. So if it's I don't think the Panthers would immediately become contenders next year if they were to get Deshaun, but he could be surveying it and saying, well, could I force my way to the Raiders? Then I have to deal with Herbert and Mahomes, of course. I force my way to the Jets or Dolphins. Josh Allen is sitting there, and a lot of people really love him as a player. Either Tua or Justin Fields.
Show love to Josh Allen?
No, I don't. I actually don't. But I understand others
you
might.
Heard it.
And so,
wait, can I?
There you go.
Brandon,
and so the Panthers don't have that, Jenna.
But when you're making a decision like this, pull back the curtain. How much of it is like the team and the structure of the team and where you fit into the team, and how much is it a way of life? Like maybe he wants to go and play somewhere out the rest of his career then, and it's New York, Miami, Carolina. I mean, how much do you factor the city and like everything that surrounds what your life will be like when you make a big decision like this?
That's a great question, and I go back to LeBron James. I think LeBron James was one of the first guys, first athletes that said, I want it all. I want to live in a nice city. I want to be comfortable. My kids, I want them in a good school system. My wife, I want her to be in a good place where she can thrive, and I want an opportunity to win, and I want the bag. So I think LeBron James was the first guy that stood up and said, where can I get it all? And so I think it's a big part of decision making now with guys. Matthew Stafford has a house in Newport Beach. He didn't want to go to New England. He didn't want to play in the cold anymore. He wanted to get out of Detroit. Right. He said, I'm going back to Cali. This is where I got a house, and I want to be comfortable, and I can win. So I think that's a big part of the process.
Could be why we're saying New York, Nick. Right, Brandon? There's a big possibility. Speaking of LeBron, let's talk some MVP. It's Wednesday. What does that mean? A number of things, one of which is Nick's got a very special MVP list cooked up for us. We're going to let him do his thing next. First things first. Another list.